Abuse VQ, stay locked in.
No camshaft position sensor. Let's get a little bit more expensive than that. How about my whole goddamn clutch just burnt out on me, kid? And can't front. Shorty's young boy was saying a couple days ago he smelled something burning. I did not even put 2 and 2 together, dog. First time for everything, Mo. Never any of my cars broke down on the side of the road. First fucking time, man. But at least we're here in New Jersey. Almost home. Get this shit taken care of. Get right. Let's go. Alright, squad. Let's jump into it before I forget, because I definitely started earlier before I caught 2 bad weeks of rain and could not get out here and work on my joint. Today's supposed to be a perfect day. You already know, squad. So like I was saying before, Mo, I was thinking, you know, the things that was wrong with the 3.0. Let me give y'all a quick rundown on what we need to do to officially get me back on the road so we can make moves this summer. You already know the vibe, squad. All right, team, so my main thing that I'm doing now is I'm gonna be pulling my transmission. I gotta drop the transmission. My clutch burnt out. Clearly, y'all saw me on the flatbed. You know, that's never good. So, I pretty much have everything on the wiring harness disconnected from the transmission. It's only like 3 things. I took the starter out. I took the crankshaft position sensor out. That's in the back seat. I got all the bolts loose, in all honesty. Like, you see how these is out already. Like, all the bolts is loose. The only bolts that I really need to get is gonna be the mounting bolts for the transmission. But we want to get the car jacked up, everything set, get that going, right? So another code I got, let's slide in here if y'all can see it. Goddamn header cracked again, bro. So I need to get that welded. That was giving me the front O2 oxygen sensor code. I can't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head. And that was also giving me the P0300, the misfire. Still was getting a multiple misfire. That would suit that. My next thing is, you see it's like really greasy and all that. I'm gonna have to swap the valve cover gaskets. We got to do that job. Unfortunately, we still got to go deeper, team. My alternator is shot. Gotta swap that, being that I believe from the leaking from the gasket is what probably leaked onto the alternator. And finally, it would be to do the power steering pump hoses, not necessarily the pump itself, but both of the hoses, the return hose and the leading hose out to the coolant line down here. So that's pretty much what it is, squad. I'm gonna get to it. You know, I got the next couple of days that's supposed to be gorgeous before I'm really looking to get out of here. So I'm gonna document as much as I can as I go. My first thing is to get this car jacked up. Let's get the CV axles out. Driver's side, I kind of already started on that. Passenger side, we need to get that going, which is not that difficult. And let's get it going, team. Y'all already know the vibe. Stay locked in. All right, team, sorry about the beeping in the back. Driver's truck is here, doing his thing. But yo, driver's side, CV axle out. What I had to do was I used my hammer, right? But I used the curved part, and I was able to wedge it behind this portion in right here. And I had to turn it a couple of times to find, I guess, that right spot to dislodge it. But we're good to go on that, team. Let's get over to the passenger side so we can take that CV axle out. Then we can start on getting this transmission ready to drop. Let's go. All right, squad. So this shit was a little fight. And the only headache it gave me was because of like where it fits into the bracket here. When you're installing your passenger side CV axle, I would highly suggest to put some anti-seize around this, or you're gonna have to end up tapping it until it's completely unlodged from that bracket. And you can see definitely there's a little bit of rust in there. You can see the rust on that, so it was damn near almost together like glue. But for the most part, squad, we got both of the CV axles out. So now our main objective now is to go and start getting the transmission ready. Got my jack, got my piece of wood, so that can support the transmission and not have actual metal to metal that could bend something out of place. So transmission will sit, you know, and settle into the wood there. And yeah, team, let's just see how this goes. Let's see how it goes. Y'all already know, doing my best to keep y'all in the loop. But now that the CV axles is out, what I'm actually gonna do is get the jack up under here, start taking out the rest of these bolts, because some of them are like literally in finger tight. I think this one I screwed down, but like these are in finger tight, and we can get those out. Or even if we got to get the ratchet and start getting some of these bolts out that's holding the transmission in to the actual engine. And then the next thing we have here is just to get these 4 bolts, 1, 2, see in the back there, 3, 4 bolts there. There you go, those 4 bolts, and that should give me access to drop the transmission. This should be more than enough clearance. I'm gonna probably have to strong arm it just a little bit to finesse it over this frame, the subframe here. So we'll see what we're doing, team. But for the most part, we are coming along pretty nicely. Just want to make sure we're getting this harness all the way out the way. So I might honestly end up cutting the rest of these zip ties here so we can get the harness and the clutch line all the way out of the way, and we could go from there, because I don't want to mess anything up. Like, that's my main thing. We done came so far, everything is going swell right now, you know what I'm saying? We're making forward progress, and now just to drop the transmission. And just to let y'all see back here, instead of taking the cables out and like having to mess with these, I honestly just took the 2 bolts out. I mean, I put them back in right here, as you can see. Put the bolts back in right here, but got the cables out. So technically there's nothing harness wise holding the transmission up. The only thing really right now is the bolts that's holding it into the engine, and the 4 bolts on the transmission mount. So let's go, team. All right, squad, I'm trying to do my best and work here and keep y'all in the loop. So up here we have all the bolts for the transmission. These are the 2 long bolts that go in where your starter goes right here. I had to modify this bolt due to, I believe, bending the other bolt, and I couldn't locate replacements, so that joint was a wrap. But got all the bolts out on the top. If you can see right down here, those are the bolts for the bottom. So we got all the bolts out that are holding the transmission into the engine. The only thing that's really holding the transmission up right now is going to be the transmission mount, because even though this bolt is out, the weight is on this bolt. But I still need to get these 4, I believe those might be 17s, or so let's see, is this 17? Nope, those are actually smaller, so those might be 15s or 16s, but we'll check those and get those, and we'll get it on the impact, and we'll get those loose, and then we'll start to get the transmission separated and just take it from there, team, step at a time. I'm not trying to hurt myself. I'm doing this by myself. So you definitely want to take your time. You definitely don't want to rush anything. And again, please do your due diligence with making sure everything is disconnected from the transmission harness wise as well. Again, everything. So just covering all of those steps. The transmission is almost there to get dropped. Pretty much, like I said, let's just find the right socket to put on these so we could get those out, and then kind of wing it and see how it goes from there. Let's go. All right, squad, high progress, heavy progress, forward movement. We're doing this solo dolo. Y'all see that? Transmission is separated for the most part. I just need to probably take the transmission mount bolt out so I can get a little bit more play with the bracket here to finish getting it off, and then probably just have to maneuver it to get it down and out. Pardon me on that one. But we are looking good, team. You know what I mean? I'm gonna start playing with the jack a little bit to see if I need to lower it a little bit and get a nice little tilt, and you know, finish getting the transmission off. So we are getting it, team. We are getting it. So let's go.